Greetings, everybody. Nina the Mystic Truther here, and welcome to episode 8 of the Anunnaki story here. And we have our co-host, Robert. How you doing tonight?
Doing great. Ready to learn some more good stuff going on. I've been studying, as I've been telling you, I've been studying this book, The Epic of Humanity, everybody. It's Billy Carson and Matthew LaCroix's new book. And it's really kind of the, I was just telling Nina that it's kind of like an updated version of Zecharia Sitchin stuff, only worded a little bit better, so you can understand it. And they really get down to the cities and the people and who they are and the bloodlines and what really happened, and really more involved in the story of the Anunnaki, so it's understandable. So
that's kind of cool. So Billy Carson obviously is one of the big dogs when it comes to Anunnaki. So he definitely has a lot of good stuff there, both on his YouTube and books and whatever else he's got, courses. I don't know what else he's got going on there, but most definitely. And so I was just saying to Robert that, hey, as you're reading along your book here, and we come across something in our little read and discuss here, then feel free to add that in so that we can get some of the updated version maybe of it or whatever, or maybe like more user friendly maybe, because some of the words, it's kind of like reading the Bible. It's just some of those words, it just doesn't seem natural and it doesn't make sense, a lot of it, to us nowadays. We just changed just the way we talk and everything. So never mind the whole being translated over and over again as well. So who knows? There's probably things that have been lost in translation too. But before we get going on the actual story, I just want to urge you guys to smash that like button to try and see if we can't fool the algorithms here, because I've been having some more shadow banning going on this week. I don't know if you've noticed, but Wednesday shows complete flop. I did actually posted 3 different videos on Wednesday, and there was like no views, nobody showing up to the live. So I don't know what's going on, guys, but I think I hit a nerve with the algos or with the censorship on YouTube. I did some videos, a couple of videos about Trump. One of them I took down, actually, because it was a friend of mine noticed that I said a mistake in there, and so I took it down. But the short version of it is still up under my shorts. So if you want to go and check that out, go and do that. And we were just talking earlier here, like Robert saying, like, he's not getting my notifications until the next day. Going live, going live, and whatever, the next day. So what they're doing is just not allowing you guys to see anything I post until they've scrutinized it. So right now they're listening in and to make sure that I'm not saying anything that they don't approve of, and then they'll release it out tomorrow maybe, So unfortunately, probably a lot of you are not going to get the notification that we're going live, and that is unfortunate for you guys. I know a lot of you do enjoy the live interaction here and that kind of thing. So I don't know what to say, guys. If I was you, I would go in and hit that little notify me, but then you're going to have to pay attention to your email. So again, you have to sort of remember, I think, that we're going live on Sundays at 6 o'clock, and then I go live on Wednesdays at 5 o'clock. So those are the 2 times that I go live, and Robert usually goes live on Saturdays. Last night he did a replay, actually, on one of our shows that we did here, so that was kind of neat. To really re-listen to it again. Actually, it was some stuff that I've forgotten and reminded myself I should be doing this. So that was kind of nice.
Well, I just needed a break day, and a little rest, and I thought that was a really great show we did with Augie, and so it deserved a playback. And I hope you all listened and refresh some of that stuff about a time machine. It's time travel.
Yeah, even if you saw it on my channel already, please go and watch it over on Robert's as well to give him the views, but also to refresh yourself, because like I said last night, there was things in there I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about that, and I guess I should, I got to do some of that, you know what I mean, to kind of do the work. Essentially is what we need to do, right? You can't just be sitting here talking about it. We actually got to do some of the work too if you want to progress doing that kind of stuff, right? So,
Well, and that's the biggest thing is doing the work. And then that's what a lot of people don't do. They want. I was listening to a show about manifestation again today, and yeah, sure, manifestation's great, but you can't or you can't just say, "I wish I had, I wish I had," because nothing's going to happen to it unless you really feel it. Or the guy was talking about people who pray; they just repeat words over and over and over again, and it's not about repeating the prayer over and over. You're just saying a bunch of words. If you really don't have the meaning behind it, you could say the thing one time and it'll work, but most people don't. They just repeat blah 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 blah
yeah,
blah.
that's one thing I have a problem with religion is people are just repeating stuff without actually knowing what they're talking about, or even paying
Yep.
attention to what are you actually saying. Are they just saying it just because they've been told to say it? But yeah, I got to give you guys a little behind the scenes here. We actually did a group ritual on Wednesday night, and it was for wealth and prosperity to a deity that specializes in that. And we're going through the thing, and the message that we're getting is that he wanted us to do a guided meditation to visualize. So visualize a dead garden, completely dead garden, and then start visualizing it blooming again and becoming back to life. You know what I mean? And the message is like, well, if you can't even how do you think you're going to manifest a lot of riches if you can't even imagine awakening up flowers in your mind, that kind of thing, right? So it does kind of come back to doing the work. It's not just a quick word and it's going to happen, right? It's something that you kind of got to visualize. You got to be able to do all that kind of stuff. So it was a bit of a reminder there on Wednesday night about that. So yeah, so that's always good. Little reminders is always good. And actually today I got reminded, I don't know if you guys know Cliff High. He's been off of YouTube for a long time. He's over on Substack. So I've heard that word Substack before. Never really looked into it. So I went up and I got the Substack. I've subscribed to his channel. And I think after now, I think I'm going to go and check out Substack and see what that's all about. I think it's just podcasts, so just be audio, but I'm not 100% sure. But that actually might be a good place for me to have a little outlet to talk about things that we can't talk about on YouTube,
Yeah.
So I might look into that as well. I'll let you guys know, if I do get a Substack, so go and check that out. And that's the thing, you guys going to have to get used to going over to other platforms like Rumble and Odysee. I'm on both of those. I think you are as well. All our videos are there. So, use them, get them to grow, because we got to get rid of this YouTube. The YouTube is just, it's not working for me anyways. And so that's the thing. The only stuff you're gonna get on YouTube is going to be stuff that they allow you to. Essentially, you're not going to find anything new. You're not going to find any truth or anything like that. So, but I just wanted to quickly too, before we get into the material, I don't want to spend a lot of time on, boasting my own stuff here, but it came to my attention that the tip option thing, there's been some issues with it, and Robert was noticing some things earlier. So I'm wondering if I should let's see if I can find it now. I don't even have it here now. I'll have to go into this video. Just bear me for 1 second here. It's going to be loud for a second. There we go. Okay, to get my links I have to go into here. I'm going to share it just quickly to see if, I don't know if other people have had the same kind of issues here. And so that might make some sense here. So here we go. All right, so the tip option that I have. So the ways to support this channel obviously are by tips and donation. That is probably the biggest bet. And the tip page that I have comes up like this. And so you would put your username here. Now, I know Robert had some problems. It wouldn't work. for him, you have to go into here and log in and log out again. So you got to make sure that you're logged in with your, oh, it says that I'm live. Oh, that's kind of cool. Log in with your YouTube channel. I guess that's kind of how it goes, because this is interactive through Streamlabs, through your YouTube, I guess, or whatever it is. So make sure, you know, if it's this part is not working for you, because for me it does. I could just put any name here and it's fine. You know, you put whatever amount you want in there, you know what I mean? And then a message, you can do that if you want, not necessary. All this other stuff, don't worry about that. We don't need no URL. We don't need any of this stuff. All you have to worry about is this is what you're doing, this is the amount, and then just hit the donate. And then actually, let's see if I go in there. Yeah, this comes up. Use the PayPal, please. Don't use the credit card thing here. I think that's the issue with the monthly thing. I'm not set up for a credit card through Streamlabs, but for some reason they don't seem to know anything about this. So I don't know. Can't get any more answers there, but just go through PayPal and you can use a credit card on your PayPal. You know, the beauty about PayPal is that, yes, you can have credit, but you can also just go right through your bank account. No credit card needed. You have all these different options at PayPal, and that's one of the reasons why I like them. So just bypass that, go right into there, and that's how it's done. Hopefully that will help everyone with any issues that you might have. I think I just took the wrong thing out. There we go. I'll have to do that again now then.
Well, like I said, that was my biggest problem, is it kept saying username, and I was like,
it wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work unless you use the right username. So if you have to go in, log out, log back in, you know, maybe then you could find your right username if that's the problem. Because otherwise, unless you don't put the username in, to me, it wouldn't log me in. I'm sorry, but I tried to put other names in, nothing would work. So there you go.
We're on page 74, right? 70.
Yes.
This looks a little bit. I'm thinking we should almost start here. Did I show it? No.
No, you didn't.
Like right here, because you don't want, like I said, no, we stopped kind of right in the middle of a paragraph, probably.
You can just back up a paragraph or two. I mean, I don't think it's.
I thought we'd start right here, anyways.
Yeah.
Because they get a little long here, but so anyways, we are on page 74, and we do have a free PDF down in the description here if you would like to read along with us, or maybe read ahead, and you know, that way you can come next time with questions if you have any, you know, all that kind of stuff. Be ready, whatever you want to, but there is a free PDF down in the description. And also I have it up on a Gilded, of course. That is where we are hanging out after hours, where you can get all our links. We share all links to stuff that we're watching, and there's all kinds of different subjects in there. And the experience is kind of like Discord, a lot like the Discord, but I do believe there's a lot less censorship over on Gilded. So if you want to hang out and discuss things and share things after hours, then join us up on the Gilded. I guess I could give you a link for that. You guys could be playing around with that while we're reading here, maybe. And of course, we have all the other links down below. The other way of supporting the channel would be to get some merch. I do have a merch store, and so you can get yourself some one-of-a-kind Anthahkarana merch. I got lots of different styles of the Anthahkarana, plus some other stuff in there. So if you want to go and check out the merch store, there's the link for it. And if you're watching the replay, it is down in the description with all the other links for social medias and all that good stuff. So go and check that out. Okay. And make sure that you are hitting that like. I'm hoping that people are going to get notified that we're going live, or at least get notified that there's a video up, you know. And I do post these up on my Gilded, they will be up on Gilded too, but on Odysee and Rumble later tonight. Okay, so you'll get it up in there as well. I know on the Odysee, if you watch it there, you actually earn credits that you can use on the platform. So that's kind of neat. So I think that's a neat way of doing it. You know, kind of encourages people to watch over there. You know what I mean? And yeah, so there's that. Now, does anybody have any questions about anything? Put them in here now, because once I start reading, I am not in the chat and I won't be able to see what you guys are posting. So if there's anything, audio's all good. I don't see anybody saying anything about anything. We're all good. I see there's a few people in here. It says there's 8 people in here. We got Chris, Sunset Dreamer, Emperor Rex is here. F Kitty is with us. Scrolling. Star Ruby Coursey, I think, was actually first in chat. Hey. And of course, Robert. There we go. All right. So make sure you share this out with your friends, and maybe you can hang out with them and read. All right. I just noticed my book is a little, I'll make it a lot bigger here. 200.
All right.
That should be good. Hopefully you guys can see that.
See, I can see that now. It works.
You can see that good from across the room, probably, right? If you're on the big screen, maybe.
Yeah,
but I don't know if you can when you're watching.
I got 2 screens going, and I can see it pretty good on both of them. So looks good.
Okay, awesome. There you go. So I'm going to start right here. There's a, just underneath this stuff. Now, to be honest with you, I don't even really remember what we were talking about, but I'm sure we'll kind of get into it as we get into it now. So yeah, let me wet my whistle here first. All right. Well, there is additional evidence. Nana's. Oh, is that where we get our Nana's name from? Nana.
Not A's or
Nana.
Nana.
Yes, Nana, right? Not just not.
Yeah,
that looks like
Nana. The A's are like Ia is It's more of a than an A. Nana. It's more.
Okay, so I don't see it. I don't say it quite right, but that's okay. You guys know what I mean. Anyway,
that's all right.
Nana's other name, Sin. Oh wow. Okay, derived from Suen, which was another way of pronouncing Suen. So you got the S and the Z there. The same complex meaning of a 2-syllable word could be obtained by placing the syllables in any order. Suen and Enzu were mirrored words of each other. Nana, Sin, as Suen, was none other than Enzu, Lord Zu. It was he who must conclude, who tried to seize the Enlil ship. That's right. I remember I wrote this down. The Enlil ship and the Tablet of Destiny. Those are 2 gems that I found in the last episode that I thought was very interesting, and hence why we did that other episode in between here.
So yeah. I want to interrupt for a second. So I was reading that book, Billy Carson's, and he doesn't call it the Enlil ship. He calls it more of the ship, and it come down from heaven. The
Enlil ship was the crown that he's wearing.
Yes. But the Lord ship or whatever, I could find the exact words, but he was talking about how it was handed down from the heavens all the time in this other book, and it's like, okay, but in here, see, this is where Zecharia Sitchin really gets into the good stuff and calling it by the names, and in here it's like the kingship was, because we can refer to kingship versus Enlil ship, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
because
so
we know
what was the crown thing that he was wearing. It had nothing to do with the ship. I don't know why they call it Enlil ship. It is very confusing. But this is where, translating it from a different language into the English language, it doesn't make sense, So
and again, it's 40 years ago, maybe more, that he translated this. And see here in this translation, it'll say then the bad Tiberia fell, and the kingship was then taken to Lark, and then so he's referring to this as the kingship, lowered back down from the heavens again, and it's always the kingship, the rulering you know, like you're talking this Enlil ship, but he doesn't use that word. And like I said, when we're reading it, what the heck is Enlil ship mean? You know what I mean? In our heads, we're thinking, what is it? It's basically the kingship.
So it might be easier to read some of the more modern stuff that's out there now. However, I think it's always good to go back to the original, because who knows what they missed? You know what I mean? Like, they're not end all be all either, right? They may have missed things, or there's know what I mean? So it's always good to go back and sort of read the original, because this original is going to get. Now apparently there is a course where they can teach you how to read Hebrew or whatever it is, or whatever that language is, a Sumerian or whatever it is. So you can actually go and learn that and read, be able to translate them yourself.
Speaking of that, if you want, people don't know what Sumerian looked like. I do. Here, we'll put this up for a second. I do have this. This is what Sumerian looks like. Now, this is what these tablets. They're always talking about the Sumerian tablets. This is a Sumerian tablet. A lot of these are really small. This thing is probably as big as a softball, maybe even smaller. A lot of these aren't very big. They're real small. And as you can see on some of these, there's spaces. There's 2,000 characters. Well, I think there's over 2,000 characters. But there's 2,000 characters that they make with the stylus, and to try to figure all this stuff out. I mean, I look at it, I can't make heads or tails.
Well, no, because we haven't taken the course, but there is courses out there apparently.
And most of this is actually, believe it or not, just like Hebrew, it's pictographs. Pictures.
So you learn each sign, essentially, right? And then you try to put those signs into a sentence of some sort. So
here's the beauty of it. Ta-da! We had you can get online, and you can go to, I'll look it up, and I can't remember. I think it's the University of Oxford, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere. But anyway, you can get online, and they have computers. You can pick out what tablet you want, and it will read it to you. It'll translate it right there. Computer. Once you plug those 2,000 characters in and the language, the computer now will translate it for you. Ain't that wonderful?
That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, that would be
just
even
cooler. So, I mean, I tried to get on there one time and do it, but I just ran out of time. But it is possible to do. You can do that yourself from your own house. Think about it. You could read Sumerian tablets.
That would be cool. Very cool. Anyways, for this show, we're just going to read Zecharia Sitchin's book and trust that you got it right. And go from there. But let's see, where did I get now? Who tried to seize the Enlil ship? That's right, and that's where we remembered now what we were talking about before 2 weeks from now, or 2 weeks ago. We can now understand why, in spite of Ea's suggestion, the Lord Zin was punished not by execution but by exile. Both Sumerian texts as well as archaeological evidence indicate that Sin and his spouse fled to Haran, the Hurrian city protected by several rivers and mountain terrain. It is noteworthy that when Abraham's clan, led by his father Terah, I've heard of that before, left Ur, they also set their course to Haran, where they stayed for many years en route to the promised land. Though Ur remained for all time a city dedicated to Nana Sin, Haran must have been his residence for a very long time, for it was made to resemble Ur, its temples, building, and streets almost exactly. Andre Parot, Abraham at Sun Temps sum up the similarities by saying that there is every evidence that the cult of Haran has nothing but an exact replica of the Ur. When the Temple of Sin at Haran, built and rebuilt over the millennia, was uncovered during excavations that lasted more than 50 years, the finds included 2 stelae Not sure what that is. Memorial stone pillar on which a unique record was inscribed. It was a record dictated by this guy, Odysee, a high priestess of sin, and how she prayed and planned for the return of Sin, for at some unknown prior time. Sin, the king of all the gods, became angry with his city and his temple and went up to heaven. That Sin, disgusted and despaired, just packed up and went up to heaven, is corroborated by other inscriptions. These tell us that the Assyrian king Ashbanapal retrieved from certain enemies a sacred cylinder seal of the costliest jasper, and had it improved by drawing upon a picture of Sin. He further inscribed upon the sacred stone a eulogy of Sin, and hung it around the neck of an image of Sin. That stone seal of Sin must have been a relic of olden times, for in its future state, that is, it is the one whose face have been damaged in those days, during the destruction wrought by the enemy. The high priestess, who was born during the reign of Ashurbanipal, is assumed to have been a royal blood herself. In her appeal to Sin, she proposed a practical deal, that restoration of his powers over his adversaries in return for helping her son Nabonid become ruler of Sumer and Akkad. Historical records confirm that in the year 555 BC, Nabonid, then commander of the Babylonian armies, was named by his fellow officer to the throne. In this, he was stated to have been directly helped by Sin. It was the inscriptions by Nabonid informed us on the first day of his appearance that Sin, using the weapon of Anu, was able to touch with a beam of light the skies and crush the enemies down on earth below. Nabonid kept his mother's promise to the gods. He rebuilt Sin's temple, Ehulhul, house of great joy, and declared Sin to be supreme God. It was then that Sin was able to grasp in his hand the power of the Anu office, wield all the power of the Enlil office, take over the power of the Ea office, hold thus in his own hand all heavenly powers, thus defeating the usurper Marduk, even capturing the powers of Marduk's father Ea. Sin assumed the title of Divine Crescent and established his reputation as so-called moon god. How could Sin, report to have gone back to heaven in disgust, have been able to perform such a feat back on earth? Nabonid confirmed that Sin had indeed forgotten his angry command and decided to return to the temple, and Hulhul claimed a miracle that has not happened to the land since the days of old had taken place. A deity has come down from heaven. This is the great miracle of Sin that has not happened to the land since the days of old, that the people of the land have not seen nor had written on clay tablets to preserve forever, that Sin, Lord of all the gods and goddesses residing in heaven, has come down from heaven. Isn't it interesting that the old God of Almighty God, his name is Sin?
Yeah,
and
how ironic is
right? And what is it that the greatest thing we can do in our Bible is to
sin,
right? Isn't that interesting? So it makes you wonder. But then this is English, so I'm not going to take it too serious as that has anything to do with it, because I'm sure the word sin is completely different in the other text. So
I do want to point something out that we missed. You read right over the top of it. It was caused about this. They made this statue, right? And I'm trying to find the spot. Been able to. Okay. Well, anyway, they made the statue, right? They made this thing to put around the neck of the statue, and it talked about the face of the statue being, destroyed, right? And anyway, being the statue was destroyed, he further inscribed upon the sacred stone a eulogy of sin and hung it around the neck of the image of sin. The stone seal of sin must have been a relic of olden times, for it is further stated that it is one of those whose face had been damaged in those days during the destruction wrought by the enemy. And again, when you look at the pyramids of Egypt and their statues out there, what's the first thing they do? The nose is always broken off. The head is destroyed or ripped off, or the face on, even like on the Sphinx or whatever, all those things. The face is destroyed.
The nose thing is definitely something we've noticed in a lot of artwork from back in the day, which makes you wonder. But then again, it does protrude out, and I guess it would make sense that would, be damaged first. I guess with all the wind and rain and whatever. And, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, there's a lot of artwork that where the face has been defiled, so to speak. And where especially the nose. And there's been some, speculations. Actually, not just statues, but actual skeletons. Their nose is missing for some reason, and that's a little hard to explain. So it makes you wonder if our facial structure was different back then. They don't want us to see that now.
Like I said, it was just I caught that little piece, and it reminded me of all those statues I've seen throughout the years that the face is always destroyed. And even back then, what did the enemy do? He destroyed the face.
Yeah, I think there's some details there that they don't want us to know about.
Yep.
So anyways, we're not going to get into that here. Regrettably, no details are provided of the place and manner in which sin landed back on earth. But we do know that it was in a field outside of Haran that Jacob, on his way from Canaan to find himself a bride in the old country, saw a ladder set up on the earth and its top reaching heavenward. And there were angels of the Lord ascending and descending by it. Wow. So I didn't know that stairway to heaven was an actual thing. You know what I mean? Oh, that would be weird.
Well, actually, it wasn't stairway to heaven; it was a ladder to heaven.
Well, a ladder to heaven, but whatever. Yeah.
Ooh, look, the golden ladder.
It doesn't rhyme the same. A ladder to heaven doesn't sound.
No, I know.
Not as luxurious either. At the same time that Nebuchadnezzar restored the powers and temples of Nana, Sin, he also restored the temples and worship of Sin's twin children, Inanna. So we've heard of that one. Anu's lady and Utu, the shining one. The two, a shining one. That's interesting because we've heard about the shining ones. Yeah, that is interesting. That's a whole different thing. But the two were born to Sin by his official spouse, Nigal, and were thus by birth members of the divine dynasty. Inanna was technically the firstborn, but her twin brother Uta was the firstborn son, and thus the legal dynastic heir. Unlike the rivalry that existed in the similar instance of Esau and Jacob, the two divine children grew up very close to each other. They shared experiences and adventures, came to each other's aid, and when Inanna had to choose a husband from one of the two gods, she turned to her brother for advice. Inanna and Utu were born in the time immemorial when only the gods inhabited Earth. Utu's city domain, Sipar, was listed among the very first cities to have been established by the gods in Sumer. Nebuchadnezzar stated in an inscription that when he undertook the rebuild Utu's temple, Bara, shining house in Sipar, I sought out its ancient foundation platform, and I went down 18 cubits into the soil. Utu, the great lord of Ababara, showed me personally the foundation platform of Naram Sin, son of Sargon, which for 3,200 years no king preceded me had seen. When civilization blossomed in Sumer and man joined the gods in the land between the rivers, Utu became associated primarily with the law and justice. Several early law codes, apart from invoking Anu and Enlil, were also presented as requiring acceptance and adherence because they were promulgated in accordance with the true word of Utu. The Babylonian king Hammurabi, that sounds familiar, inscribed his law code on a stela, on top of which the king is depicted receiving the laws from the god. Tablets uncovered at Sippar attest to its reputation in ancient times as a place of just and fair law. Some text depicts Utu himself as sitting in judgment on gods and men alike. Sippar was, in fact, a seat of Sumer Supreme Court. The justice advocate by Uta is reminiscence of the Sermon of the Mount recorded in the New Testament. A wisdom tablet suggested that following behavior to please Utu. Unto your opponent, do no evil. Your evildoer recompensate with good. Unto your enemy, let justice be done. Let not your heart be induced to do evil. To the one begging for alms, give food to eat, give wine to drink, be helpful, do good. Because he assured justice and prevented oppression, and perhaps for other reasons too, as well, we shall say later on, Utu was considered the protector of travelers. Yet the most common and lasting epithets applied to Utu concerned his brilliance. From earlier times, he was called Babar, Shining One. He was Utu who shed a wide light, the one who lights up heaven and earth. Hammurabi, in his inscription, called the god by his Akkadian name, Shamash, which in Semitic language means sun. It has therefore been assumed by the scholars that Utu, Shamash, was the Mesopotamian sun god. We shall show as we proceed that while this god was assigned the sun as his celestial counterpart, there was another aspect of the statement that had shed a bright light when he performed the special tasks assigned to him by his grandfather Enlil. Just as the law codes and the court record are human testimonies to the actual presence among the ancient people of Mesopotamia of a deity named Uta Shamash, so there exist endless inscriptions, texts, incantations, oracles, prayer, and depictions attested to the physical presence and existence of the goddess Inanna, whose Akkadian name was Ishtar. A Mesopotamian king in the 13th century BC stated that he had rebuilt her temple in her brother's city of Sippar on foundations that were 800 years old in this time. But in her central city, Uruk, tales of her went back to olden times. Known to the Romans as Venus, to the Greeks Aphrodite, and the Canaanites as the Hebrew as Astarte. There you go. See, these are all very familiar deities that people work with today. To the Assyrians and Babylonians and Hittites and the other ancient people as Ishtar of Eshtar, to the Akkadians and the Sumerian as Inanna or Inin or Nini, I guess she goes by many names here, or by others of her many nicknames and epithets. She was at all time the goddess of warfare and the goddess of love, which is also Freya. So, that's the thing. There's only so many deities, but they go by many names. So, Astarte and Freya apparently are the same, and a lot of these other names we just mentioned here. It's the same deity, the same goddess. A fierce, beautiful female who thought only a great-granddaughter of Anu, carved for herself by herself a major place among the great gods of heaven and earth. As a young goddess, she was apparently assigned a domain in a far land east of Sumer, the land of Arata. It was that the lofty one, Inanna, queen of all the land, had her house, but Inanna had greater ambitions. In the city of Uruk, there stood the great temple of Anu, occupied only during his occasional state visit to Earth, and Inanna set her eyes on this seat of power. Sumerian king lists state that the first non-divine ruler of Uruk was I don't know how to say that name there, a big long-ass name. A son of the god Utu by a human mother. He was followed by his son Enmerkar, a great Sumerian king. Inanna then was the great aunt of Enmerkar, and she found little difficulty in persuading him that she should really be the goddess of Uruk, rather than on the remote Arata. A long and fascinating text named Enmerkar and the Lord of Arata described how Markar sent emissaries to Arata using every possible argument in the war of nerves to force Arata to submit, because the Lord Enmarkar, who is the servant of Inanna, made her queen of the house of Anu. The epic's unclear end hints at a happy ending. While Inanna moved to Uruk, she did not abandon her house in Arata, that she might have become a commuting goddess, and not so improbable, for Inanna Ishtar was known from other texts as an adventurer traveler. Her occupation as Anu's temple in Uruk could not have taken place without his knowledge and consent, and the texts give us strong clues as to how such consent was obtained. Soon, Inanna was known as Anitern, a nickname meaning beloved of Anu. She was referred to in text as the holy mistress of Anu, and it follows that Inanna shared not only Anu's temple, but also his bed whenever he came to Uruk, or on the reported occasion of her grouping up in his heavenly abode. Having thus maneuvered herself into the position of goddess of Uruk and mistress of the temple of Anu, Ishtar proceeded to use trickery for enhancing Uruk's standing and her own powers. Farther down the Euphrates stood the ancient city of Eridu, Enki's center. Knowing of his great knowledge and all the arts and science of civilization, Inanna resolves to beg, borrow, and steal those secrets. Obviously intending to use her personal charms on Enki, her great uncle, Inanna arranged to call on him alone. That fact was not unnoticed by Enki, who instructed his housemates to prepare dinner for the two. Come, my housemaster, Izimud, hear my instructions. A word I shall say to you, heed my words. The maiden, all alone, has directed her step to the Abzu. Have the maiden enter the Abzu of Eridu. Give her to eat barley cakes with butter. Pour for her cold water that freshens her heart. Give her beer. Give her to drink beer. Okay, it's just the way you say that. It just sounds kind of weird. You know what I mean? I guess they liked beer there.
Well, you got to remember, alcohol in those days would be something to purify the water, because once you ferment it or put alcohol in it, the water becomes pure. Otherwise you could get dysentery and diseases from whatever is in the water.
I know that's how it was here, for us not long ago. But you would think that these beings would know how to purify water without having to add fermented whatever. You know what I mean? Because I mean, nowadays it's proven that silver and copper, those actually take up microscopic things. We should be using that, right? And you would think that they would know how to filter out things, without having to add disgusting, because some people don't like fermented anything in the water. You're contaminating the water essentially by putting beer in it. You know what I mean? So so that's kind of strange, actually, that they didn't know how to do that.
Yeah. Before we go too far, we were talking about Hammurabi, and as soon as this pops up, I got the thing for Hammurabi. You were saying you kind of remember a little bit about that. But here's what. Yeah, it is very familiar. Here it is, the Hammurabi Code. The Code of Hammurabi is a Babylonian legal text composed between whenever it was 1755 BC and 1750 BC. It is the longest, best organized, and well preserved legal text from ancient Near East. It is written in Old Babylonian dialect of Akkadian and purportedly by Hammurabi himself, sixth king of the first dynasty of Babylon. That is, things like this, and basically all the laws are written on this stone, and these stones, there were bunches of them, and they would just put them places, and so you got the laws. Where's the law? Let's just find the law. It's right here. It's written in stone, and everybody knows what the law is, I guess. And then our laws today are kind of comprised of some of these things right here. You know what I mean? So it says the relief has 4,130 lines of cuneiform text. 1/5 contains a prologue and epilogue of poetic style, while the remaining 4/5 contain what are generally called the laws. The prologue. Hammurabi claims to have been granted his rule by the gods to prevent the strong oppressing and from the weak. And so anyway, there you go. That's why it sounded very familiar. Hammurabi's laws. Look it up, people. Check it out.
The more we look into these things, the more we can see the similarity with the Bible and whatnot. So they must have, taken it from that, and then made their little.
Because you got to remember, these people lived a lot longer back than when the Bible was written. Way back beforehand. I do believe that, because as we're reading, did you notice how he's referring to some of the things in the text as being of the Bible? Just the names are switched around, like Aesop and Jacob kind of thing. And he says, well, these two, and the story's a little bit different, but it's the same situation. And I'm thinking, it was one story, and then somebody flipped it and said, now it's our story. See what I mean? We change a few of the words.
I think we can all agree on that, except for the Christians. So, of course, they're not going to agree to any of that. But it's very clear when you start reading the stuff that, we can see where they got all these stories from, So it's very similar, I guess, but not quite all the way there. So, all right. So let's continue a little bit. I'll read another 10 minutes and I'll let you take over here.
Okay.
Happy and drunk, Enki was ready to do anything for Inanna. I'm sure he was. She boldly asked for the divine formulas, which was the basic of high civilization. Enki granted her some 100 of them, including divine formulas pertaining to supreme lordship, kingship, priestly functions, weapons, legal procedures, scribeship, woodworking, even the knowledge of musical instruments, and of temple prostitution. Oh, okay, that's always a good thing to learn. By the time Enki awoke and realized that what he had done, Inanna was already well on her way to Uruk. This is a classic kind of story too. I hate to say it, but men are so easy. You know what I mean? Like, how many men have spilt their secrets pillow talking? You know what I mean? Like, it's just a classic female little trick there. All the way back from these guys, okay, before, we even came here. Anyways, let's see here. Enki ordered after her his awesome weapons. Awesome weapons. Not just weapons. Awesome weapons. But to no avail, for Inanna had sped to Uruk in her boat of heaven. Quite frequently, Ishtar was depicted as a naked goddess, flaunting her beauty. She was sometimes even depicted raising her skirts to reveal her lower parts of her body. Ooh, now it's starting to get a little interesting here.
She's a real porn star.
That's where we get it from. You know what I mean? You just come up with this stuff on our own, And so Gilgamesh, a ruler of Uruk, circa 2900 BC, was also partly divine, having been born to a human father and a goddess, reported how Inanna enticed him, even after she already had an official spouse. Ooh. Having washed herself after a battle and put on a fringed cloak fastened with a sash, glorious Ishtar raised an eye at his beauty. Come, Gilgamesh, be thou my lover. come grant me your fruit. Thou shalt be my male mate. I will be thy female. Wow. Well, there you go. Female power, everybody. You know, there you go. Like, you know, women weren't all just, you know, meek and quiet, you know. So there you go. There's from the goddess herself, you know, and she wants it. She wants it. But Gilgamesh knew the score. Which of thy lovers did thou love before? Or no, or which of thy lovers didst thou love forever? He asked. Which of the shepherds pleased thee all time? Reciting a long list of her love affairs, he refused. I guess she'd, you know, been around too many times. As time went on, as she assumed higher ranks in the pantheon, and which it the responsibility for affairs of state, Inanna Ishtar began to display more martial qualities and was often depicted as goddess of war, armed to the teeth. I guess if you can't lay him, slay him. That's the thing. The inscription. I'm a Viking. What can I say?
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? Wait for a second. So remember, she got 100 of these things from Enlil, you know, by enticing him, you know, and from, you know, it said weapons and planning and city building, all this knowledge she received. And when she received this knowledge, why wouldn't it make her goddess of war? I mean, she has all this extra knowledge now above everybody and anybody else on earth. You know what I mean?
So that's,
it makes you
that's what
powerful.
When
of course,
information gets to the wrong person. You see, and so this is, you know, so these guys should probably lay off the booze for one, right? Some good, you know, lessons that had we just, you know, taken heed long time ago. You know, avoid the booze, filter your water. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, just things that you could have avoided a lot of turmoil. You know, but. Anyways, the inscriptions left by Syrian king describe how they went to war for her and upon her command, how she directly advised when to wait and when to attack, how she sometimes marched at the head of the armies, and how on at least one occasion she granted a theophany. What is that?
Theopathy?
Theophany? I don't know what that word is. You guys will have to look that up yourselves. And appeared before all the troops. In return for their loyalty, she promised the Assyrian king long life and success. From a golden chamber in the skies, I will watch over thee, she assured them. When she turned into a bitter warrior because she, too, became up on hard times with the rise of Marduk to supremacy, in one of his inscriptions, Nabonid said, Inanna of Uruk, the exalted princess who dwelt in Gold Sela, who rode upon a chariot to which were harnessed 7 lions. The inhabitants of Uruk changed her cult during the rule of King Erbal Marduk, removed her Sela, I'm not sure what a Sela is, and harnessed her team. Inanna reported Nabonid had therefore left the Iana angrily and stayed hence in a seemly place, which he didn't name.
Okay, here's before you go on, here's what it means. Theopathy, manifestation of a deity in a form that humans can perceive, such as a voice, light, or presence. The term comes from the Greek words theos, God, and panthein, to appear. So basically, she appeared in a form of light or voice that we could perceive.
Something that we can see. Yeah, but we weren't even here at this time. This was before our time, I think.
Yes, this was they were going. Well, I mean, it was the Sumerians.
To manifest into something that we can see. Interesting. I wonder. That is interesting. All right. Do you want to take over now, maybe?
Okay. Sure. Okay. Yeah. Seeking perhaps to combine love with power, the much-courted Inanna chose as her husband Dimuzuz, son of Enki, Of course, they like to keep it in the family. Many ancient texts deal with the loves and quarrels of the two. Some are love songs of great beauty and vivid sexuality. Others tell how Ishtar came back from one of her journeys and found Dimazid celebrating her absence. That'd make any woman jealous. She arranged for his capture and disappearance into the lower world, a domain ruled by her sister, Reshelkilaga, and her consort, Nirnagal. Some of the most celebrated Sumerian and Akkadian texts deal with the journey of Ishtar to the lower world in search of her banished beloved. One of the 6 known sons of Enki, 3 have been featured in Sumerian tales. The firstborn, Marduk, who eventually usurped and the supremacy of Nergal, who became ruler of the lower world, and Dimazud, who married Inanna or Ishtar. Enlil, too, had 3 sons who played key roles in both divine and human affairs. Ninurut, who, having been born to Enlil by his sister Nirgursa, was the legal successor. Nana, Sin, firstborn by Enlil's official spouse, Ninlil, and a younger son by Ninlil named Ishkur, the mountainous, a far mountain land, who was more frequently called Aldad, beloved. A brother of Sin and an uncle of Utu, the Inanna, Adad appeared to have felt more at home with them than at his own home. The Sumerian texts consistently grouped the 4 together. The ceremonies connected with the visit of Anu to Uruk also spoke of 4 as a group. One text describing the entrance to the court of Anu states that the throne room was reached through the gate of Sin, Shamash, Adad, and Ishtar. Another text, first published by V.K. Shikiko, a Russian Academy of the History of Material Cultures, poetically described the 4 as retiring for the night together. The greatest affinity seems to have existed between Adad and Ishtar, and the 2 were even depicted next to each other on this relief, showing an Assyrian ruler being blessed by Adad, holding the ring in the lighting, and by Ishtar holding her bow. The third deity is mutilated. I'm trying to get it out to be identified. Oh man, hate it when that tongue-tied stuff comes in. There was more to this affinity than a platonic relationship, especially in the view of Ishtar record. It is noteworthy that in the biblical Song of Songs, the playful girl calls her lover Do-Adad, word that means both lover and uncle. Yeah, keep it in the family. How is Ishkur called Adad? A derivative from the Sumerian Dada. Oh boy, it's getting deep here. Because he was the uncle who was the lover. Dada. Get that?
That's weird. Dad, dad, like almost sounds like dad, right? Is your lover and uncle. Like, this gets so weird.
But use your imagination, people. But Ishkur was not only a playboy, he was a mighty god, endowed by his father, Enlil, with the powers and prerogatives of a storm god. As such, he was revered as a Huran, Hittite, Tessub, and the Uritan Tessub, the windblower, the Amorite, Ramanu, the thunderer, and the Canaanite, Ragamu, the caster of hailstones, the Indo-European, Burgish, the light maker. Yeah, thunder and lightning. Thor. You should be able to relate to that. The Semitic mirror, he who lights up the skies. There you go. It'd be Thor, I would believe.
That's what I'm saying. There's only so many of the deities, but they all have different. They have a lot of different names.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
there's not really as many as you think there
Or
are.
he could have been in the Greek. He would have been like Zeus or something. Like the
Yeah.
god of
Yeah.
thunder.
It's the
Like
same being. It's just got different names in different regions and whatever. So yeah. Yeah.
a god list. Let's go. Yeah, a god
Mhm.
list. Oh, there is a god list. Kept by the British Museum, as shown by Hans Shokabes. At
Shlobies?
the yeah, Shokabes.
Shlobies?
I ain't even gonna pronounce that. Clarifies that Ishkur was indeed the divine lord in the lands far from Sumer and Akkad. As Sumerian text reveals, this was no accident. Enlil, it seems, willfully dispatched his young son to become the resident deity in the mountain lands north and west of Mesopotamia. Why did Enlil dispatch his youngest and beloved son away from Nippur? Several Sumerian epic tales have been found about this, the arguments, and the even bloody struggles among the younger gods. Many cylinder seals depict scenes of gods battling God. It would seem that the original rivalry between Enki and Enlil was carried on and intensified between their sons, with brothers sometimes turning against brother. A divine tale of Cain and Abel. Some of these battles were against the deity identified as Kur. In all probability, Ishkur, Adad. This may well explain why Enlil deemed it advisable to grant his younger son a far off domain to keep him out of the dangerous battles for the succession. The position of the sons of Anu, Enlil, and Enki, and their offspring in the dynastic lineage emerges clearly through a unique Sumerian device, the allocation of the numerical rank to certain gods. The discovery of the system also brings out the membership in the great circle of gods of heaven and earth. When Sumerian civilization blossomed, we shall find that the supreme pantheon was made up of 12 deities. The first hint that the psych, psychographic number, I know I'm saying that wrong, system was applied to the great gods came with the discovery that the names of the gods, Sin, Shamash, and Ishtar, were sometimes substituted in the text by the numbers 30, 20, 15, respectively. The highest unit of the Sumerian sexagesimal system, 60, was assigned to Anu. Enlil was 50, Enki 40, and Adad 10. The number 10 and its 6 multiples within the prime number 60 were thus assigned to male deities, and it would appear plausible that the numbers ending with 5 were assigned to the female deities. From this, the following cryptograph, that's the word, cryptograph table emerges. Male and female. 60, Anu. 55, Atu. 50, Enlil. 45, Ninlil. 40, Ea. Enki. 35, Ninki. 30, Nana. Sin. 25, Ningal. 20, Utu. Shamash. 15, Inanna. Ishtar. 10, Ishkur. Adad, 5, Ninurskad, 6 male deities, 6 female deities. That's a good way to number them. Ninura, we should not be surprised to learn, was assigned the number 50, like his father. In other words, his dynastic rank was conveyed in the cryptograph message. If Enlil goes, you, Nintura, step into his shoes, but until then, you are not one of the 12, for the rank of the 50 is occupied. Nor should we be surprised to learn that when Marduk usurped the Enlilship, he insisted that the gods bestow on him the 50 names to signify that rank of 50 had become his. There were many other gods in Sumer, children, grandchildren, nieces, and nephews of the great gods, and there were also several hundred rank and file gods called Anunnaki, who were assigned one may say, general duties, but only 12 made the great circle. their family relationships, and above all, the line of dynastic succession can better be referred to if we show them in a chart. I guess there's supposed to probably be a chart there. Well,
so there's, I can't really see really what it says. I can kind of see Enlil Hildman here, but Anu here, I got Onto Enlil, Ningershog there.
Remember, I think I had a chart before, remember, and I was showing you things if I could find it, but
yeah. Ishtar, you can kind of Nana, you can kind of Ninurta, you can kind of Utu, you can kind of see it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is this is the same as the gods of the Greek gods. Remember, they were up in the pantheon on Olympus, and you could only have 12, and unless somebody left the 12, you couldn't put another god up there. Same thing.
Yeah. So we're actually at chapter 5. Why don't we stop here, and then we'll just discuss some things.
Do that.
Okay. 12. So the number 12, right? There's a lot of reference to 12 in our texts, like the Bible, with the disciples, and the 12 seems to be a very common kind of thing. Same with 50 too. I can find a few things in the Bible with the 50 as well. And this is where they get it from. This is where they got it from.
Yes, this is.
Are you frozen? No. I think your face might be frozen, but.
Okay. I'm not. I was looking up this thing, and I can't. It seems like when I do that, then I freeze. But okay, hang on a second. Remember, we had the thing. So here's a better picture of it. I'm sorry, everybody, that picture in our book was terrible. Here it is. This is a better.
Okay.
Look. Yeah. You can actually see who's who in the pantheon. Like I said, you got the mom, dad, and the mistress, however you want to put it, and then this, and it even shows you this would be Kronos, Poseidon, and Zeus. Enlil was Zeus because he's a god of war. And if you go down, who were we talking about? Was it Nergal, right? Was it Nergal, or which one was the son?
Well, a lot of these names were mentioned there just as on.
Yeah. But as you go down, he was bring it back. What was the guy's name that was the power with was like the god of thunder? We were just talking about all these names.
Here's all the numbers.
Marduk, a Serpenala ship. I guess it was just before that. It was just before that he was talking about he was a god of thunder and lightning, a supreme pantheon. Systems to bring out the membership. He had to take over for Enlil, Enki, and their offspring. Yes, and he had to step into, right there, offspring, and the dynasty emerges a numerical rank. The 12 cities, and he couldn't. Ishkur, not dad. Well, in the battles of succession. Yeah, the two sons, Cain and Abel. These battles were Enlil, Dean, Visbal, Kur, right there. See, Ishkur. Where is Ishkur on here? And Enki, he's a god of war, or Enlil. Enlil is the god of war, and Ishkur. Let's find Ishkur. Ishkur should be down here somewhere. Sure, Isis. Shalal. I don't know. Dismu. U2. Here's U2 right here. So, see, he's off of the branch of Enlil. Somehow he is.
We're all freaking related, these guys. I mean, come on. Like, everybody's, mingling with everybody over here. So, yeah. Hence why the royals like to keep it in the family, right? So, and
then look at this one. This line here is Enki. See, Enki kind of broke off, but even so, straight down from him, he comes back, and he's made it up with Persephone, which is Ereshkigal, something like that. So he comes back and produces an offspring here. Nishgas Nindal, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Confusing. Very confusing, people. Very confusing.
I know.
Although I want to get a little bit of the timeline right. Here's the thing. So I'm reading this book. So anybody, all these gods, we were talking about the Gilgamesh, are before. We got to get it through our heads that all of this timeline is before the deluge. And then once Gilgamesh comes in, he's the new king of Shuruppak, the last city. Shuruppak, there was, and here's the thing, according to what I've been reading, is there was no people to build the city, the new city of Shuruppak, right? So who did they get? They had to get those, who are the guys that they had before they made people?
The Ijiji?
Ajiji. So okay, yeah, I'm trying. The name escapes me. We got all these names.
That's how we came about. It was the Ijiji were up in Mars apparently, and they.
Yeah. So when the deluge come, there's not enough people to build a city, so they get the Ajiji to come down and build a new city of Shuruppak. So because there was nobody to do it, everybody was wiped out, and they're building this new city. There's nobody with, the skills for architecture. They build this new great city again of Shuruppak, and in Gilgamesh is one of the first kings to rule that city, and he is handed the kingship. Unfortunately, unlike all the other deities, he is not granted immortality, and therefore, he's searching for immortality. He's also, like we said, the gal comes down and she says, hey, I'll be your lover. I'll be with you, blah, blah, blah. And he's going, well, you're my relative. And how many guys have you been with so far? I don't want to have anything to do with you, because remember, he's only half God. And, I think after the deluge, they kind of given up on all of that. You know what I'm saying? I think they were given up. Okay, so I do have a couple other things.
A little caveat to the whole Gigi coming down here to help. I think these are the beings that built all these cathedrals and all of these big buildings that they're still here the thousands of years later apparently. And we can't replicate this stuff today. And, it's kind of part of the old city that was here before we came, which is part of history that they don't want us to know about with all the book burning and everything else. And I think these are the beings that probably built that, So did you just share something?
I got a map. I got a map. We're all talking about all these cities and where they are. And, here is Shuruppak. Here's all these different cities. They're in the Mesopotamian fertile area. Here's Bad Tiberia, Shuruppak.
So are these names still today, or those old names?
New
those names now?
I think they've been renamed. Some of them are still there, but as you can.
So this is probably like the Middle East. Oh, Nina, hey, there's a place named Nina over there. Anyways, nowadays we probably call what? Iraq, Iran, all these places. I don't know.
Yep. Here's Babylon. We all know where Babylon is, but they're all in this fertile. They're all located in this fertile crescent, and if you notice, they're all very close together. And remember that these cities were being ruined. And then, wars. Here's Eridu, Uruk, Shuruppak, Nippur, all the ones we mentioned so far along. And that's a really bad. Here's a picture of Gilgamesh, and then would be his father. You notice with the fishes, or whatever, a relative. Oops, wrong. There's the building. I think I got a bigger building there. This is in Shuruppak. This is the building that's still was standing enough to take a picture of it. I don't know if it's still standing now, but like I said, in the middle of a desert, here's this thing. But all the desert is eating everything up, and these
That's still
cities have
standing.
dried up.
That's pretty good
Yeah,
construction there.
they're literally, yes, they are literally gone. Um, so now here's the Fertile Crescent. Um, and you can really see where this is: Caspian Sea, Mediterranean Sea, Persian Gulf. This whole section is, here's Mesopotamia. This is the Fertile Crescent right in here. Now it's kind of mostly desert, isn't it? The Syrian, and you can see down here, the Syrian desert, the Sinai, and this would have been the Nile. This is Egypt over here. Turkey, the Black Sea, all of these things. This was the first land of, and well, you can't blame them. This is where all the rivers are. Euphrates River is right here. I guess I can blow it up as much as I can, but you can start to see, why they would have picked this area. Lots of rivers, waters, gulfs. It's kind of right in the middle of everything.
Yeah. And the climate has changed over time. So like Egypt, where the pyramids are, there's evidence that there was water there. You see water erosion on the bottom of it. So it looked a lot different there then than it does now. Like there was a lot more greenery.
And you got to remember, when you go back this far, that means that the glaciers, there was we were in the time of the glaciers. All the land to the north, Europe would have been under a mile of snow,
right?
Which means
which has
that everything south of there, the climate would have been totally different. This would have been the area to be in. When this started to dry up, the land north of there started to be good. People are going to move, and as you can see at the top here, this is the Caucasus Mountains. Caucasian, get it? Caucus Mountains.
You go. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And
I've heard that there's white-skinned, blonde-haired people up in places, So yeah, could have very easily just traveled over to, Scandinavia once that all melted, and just where we come from. You know
people would travel north. It just makes sense, wouldn't it? That when you you got open land, just like when they came over to America. It was like, oh boy, look at free land, and everybody wanted to come. Why wouldn't you? We can bust it out. It's empty land.
That's all up for debate. I mean, that's the story that we've been told, but looking into it now, like it looks like there was something here before we came, and we built directly on top of it. So there's so much more to our history than what we've been told, and that's kind of one of the things I want to dig in and try and find out what happened. What is the truth, right? What really did happen to us, and I think once you kind of start getting a grasp on that, you can kind of see or realize why things are happening the way they are today. It's like they say, there's nothing new under the sun. It's just a bunch of land grabs, and that's a lot. It's pretty much what's going on right now with land grabs. Did you know that, like, where the fires were, the insurance companies do not want to insure any of that property anymore now, so people aren't going to be able to move back in, because you can't get a mortgage or anything without having insurance.
Yeah.
So this is how they're doing it.
All that
burn it down, and then the insurance companies with their shysters just, oh yeah, no, sorry, that's not insurable land anymore now, so we're not gonna. So you can't move back there, and so it's just going to be bought out by somebody that can afford the insurance or is able to. Yeah. It's just
too much red tape. Too much red tape involved in it,
which they created so that they can scam us out of our own land, essentially, and whatever else we own. Whatever else is under there. I heard that there is a lot of uranium. What is it that's in electrical cars?
Lithium.
Lithium. There's lots of lithium around there as well, and so if you can find land with a lot of lithium in it, you're going to want that, right, to mine it. So you got to get rid of the people first. So that's unfortunate what's going on. some of it that's going on today.
Yeah. No,
And it was
I
kind of
totally
funny.
agree. But
Speaking of, just one little caveat to that, I saw Trump over there in California, and he basically said, I wonder what hit this place. So it's very interesting. As much as I don't like that guy, there is going to be a lot of interesting things coming out. So that I'm excited about. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of, yeah. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah.
yeah, well, it's going to shake up the tree a little bit anyway. A lot of changes going on. Yeah, a lot of nefarious things have happened. And when things like this happen, people sometimes just can't wrap their heads around it. And, we know when the fires come through that the people with houses that they built them out of fireproof stuff, those houses survive. And most of them were tinder boxes. I think Chris Smith had said the infrastructure was bad. People, well, of course, it's a hot 110 degrees out in the summer. Anything you build with wood is going to dry right up and be a tinder box.
Let's get a little bit conspiratorial for a second. So let's go back 100 years. Like, we've only had electricity for about 100 years. Let's go back 100 years. You have a grand plan of what's going to happen, because they don't make plans just for a 5-year plan. They have 100 to 200, 3,000 year plan, and so there has been a plan for like almost 3,000 years. But let's just go back 100 years. The plan is now come, and now we're really going to kick in. We're going to get this electricity out there, right? We're building houses, but there's no sense really spending a lot of money on having it look nice. So they just put up the poles and just got it all up right real quick, just like that, without thinking about aesthetics, without thinking about how long is this going to last for, should we just do it properly the first time around? No, they didn't really care about that, because, and same with the houses. Who cares about, we're just going to build a little tinder box, like you said, because it's not going to be there for much longer anyways. And that might explain, why are we not building the way we were before? Why are we not building with good, solid concrete and brick and put some artwork into it and make it look good? You know what I mean? No, none of that. It's just bang, bang, fast as you can, the cheapest you can. And I think if you want to go down that rabbit hole of conspiratorial, maybe they're doing that for a reason, because they know we're just going to be burning this down soon anyways.
Well, but see, there you go. But it's just like anything else. When you buy the cheap product, they know it's not going to last, and you're going to buy another product. You're going to go out and buy the same darn thing.
There's that too. So there's that, and then you renovate all the time.
I remember going when I was younger. I went. The guy was building houses, and they were building a subdivision. And I went there, and I'm like, wow, he's plastering everything and doing it all. And I'm like, wow, this looks really nice. And he's like, yeah, well, they only rate these houses for 40 years to last. Yeah. And I looked at him, I'm like, what? 40 years? Yeah, that's all. That's how it's supposed to last.
House will last, yeah. No, I know.
And I'm like, well, people were building houses that lasted hundreds of years before. And now 40 years is... Aren't we supposed to be getting smarter? It's just like people are building houses in Tornado Alley, and then they blow down every 20 years. They get a tornado comes through and blows them all down. Wouldn't you say, well, we're going to build tornado-proof houses, underground houses, or
why aren't we building so that things are going to last and it's done properly? And it's a one time. That's why. But there's a lot of money too with, like you said, disposable. So now you got to keep renovating, or so you got to keep buying, lumber, and you got to keep buying all this stuff, right? And eventually just, demolish it and build all new again. Because I guess as a businessman, I guess you're not really like the first light bulb, right? I believe the first light bulb is still lit today, still going. Okay. Well, they realized that, well, shit, there's not going to be any sales here, is there? If it lasts forever, so they have to dumb the product down essentially and make it so that, we are continually getting new, and we've seen that. So there's that. So there's that money grab in between. But I think the big picture the big plans. I think that's probably one of the reasons why they're not putting a lot of, craftsmanship and making it properly, because they got plans for that land coming up real soon.
Well, like you said, that, and they could have made those plans, in the last 20 or 30 years, too, because, who knew that those places would get so developed with such, expensive houses and so forth and so on. Mm-hmm. So I think there's short-term plans, long-term plans, but like North Carolina, and who would thought they would have discovered lithium there? I mean, 100 years ago, who even knew about lithium?
Things have come to, where it's like, oh shit, yeah, we need that land. We need that land now, because that's where the resources that we want is, so what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Burn it down and then make sure they don't, they can't come back. They did that with Maui, same thing, right? And so we know they're going to be building the cities there. And so I've heard that Phoenix, Arizona, look out. There's the buzz is they want to build there, and look out for fire there. I would get out of that area, any of the areas that they say that they're going to, get out of those areas, because this is what they're.
Well, the thing is we don't strive to build anything that lasts, regardless of what it is.
That's part of it. I think it's part of it, because they know, like, I hate to say this, but I think America was an experiment. Hollywood was an experiment, and I think the experiment is over now. I think they've got the results that they need to see, and we're just going to get rid of it. And that was the fire in LA now. That was the beginning of getting rid of Hollywood. And also the TV. So let's just concentrate on the last 100 years. The TV came into every single household. That's why they had to hurry on up, get the electricity in, so that they could get that TV box in to program us as to how to think and how to act, what's expected of us. And they ushered us right from Lever to Beaver to the woke thing that we got going on today in 50 years. Boom, just like that. That's how quick and easy that was. Our whole mindset, our whole value system, everything. Just deprogrammed just like that, just by getting that stupid box into our house. My generation, our generation, we were literally babysat by that thing, because our parents didn't know any better, and I was partly guilty of that myself, because I didn't know either.
Well, and that's the thing. I think we all didn't know, and then one day we woke up.
Now we know, right? So now Hollywood is gone. First of all, we know about what they're doing there, amongst themselves, right? How they're staying in power there, which is disgusting. And also, we are up for the gig. We're not. Nobody, pays for cable anymore. Does anybody pay for cable? I don't know anybody that pays for cable. We're not watching their programs anymore. CNN, all of that stuff, all the ratings are going down. They're going to be gone. They're gone. That was the experiment. It's done. It was very successful, I must say. 50 years, and it, like I said, got us from Lever to Beaver to the woke thing, and it worked. So now we don't need that anymore now. So that's all going to be gone. We're no longer TV set. Nobody's watching cable. Nobody's, Hollywood. No, a lot of people don't even want to watch regular movies, because we know they don't programmed in there.
People have changed. They've changed. Now people don't have the attention span to watch those long documentary movies or any of that stuff. It's shorts. It's like YouTube. Everything's short. TikTok shorts. They can't hold their attention more than 5 minutes. It's like people don't watch even when we're here. People have a hard time having attention span, and it's just the way it is. Older people can, but not young kids.
So we have to literally be programmed, right? So our, started with our grandparents, right? And it's all to do with the flickering rate, okay? How much it's flickering. And they also, used to, and I bet you they still do, have those little ads that you can't even see, right? So, we're literally programmed into what you want to eat, what you want to drink, and I've noticed every single show always has brown liquor, some sort, whether it's whiskey or whatever it is in there. They're in decanters, so they're not showing off brands or anything, but everybody is drinking brown liquor, like all the time. It looks like if outsiders were going to come and judge America by the movies they're watching, they would think that all of you are raging alcoholics. I mean, according to what we're seeing here, and so it's funny because I ask around, I'm like, yeah, so if you can drink anything you want, what would you want? Nobody's saying anything about brown liquor around here anyways. Nobody drinks it. And so that's another program. They'll want you to go to that liquor store, get yourself all liquored up, just like Enlil and all these, this is where we get it from, right? Get you all drunk and liquored up, and that way, you'll watch more TV and not question anything, so that's, yeah, anyways.
I agree with that. Yeah, that's the thing. They push this stuff, and unbeknownst to you, you're thinking liquor in your head, even though it might be brown.
It's a trigger for a lot of people. Oh yeah, wouldn't it be nice with a drink? It's a trigger for a lot of people, right? For a lot of people it is, it's become an issue, right? And so they're triggering you constantly to drink. I've noticed constant, and I'm thinking. And they don't portray the real how it really would be. I'm thinking if I had, if this person had drank that much, there's no way that person will be up early in the morning, all fresh and ready to go, and all that. No, that's not life. If you're going to show the drinking part, then you should show what it really is like the next day. But they don't. They don't want you thinking that far ahead. They want you to think that, oh yeah, I can drink like that every day and still go to work and I still got everything going on. No, that's not how it happens. That's not what's. Yeah. So it kind of pisses me off when I'm seeing it. And I realize what they're doing to me and everyone else. And so So just be mindful of that when you guys are watching the television, okay, and their programs. Okay, I mean, it's right there. They're telling us what it is and what they're doing, but we didn't know. We didn't know. We were watching that. Yeah, it was funny.
And it's easier to program younger children and people.
Got the kids and the kids show. You should really pay attention to the cartoons and whatever they got out there and the things that are in there. Like, you really got to be hard nosed. Like I noticed my kids, they're not allowing them to just sit and watch TV. Like it's just an hour here and there, and it's just you really got to be careful because they literally are programming kids into what to believe, what to think. That whole woke thing. That's all over the kids' shows, all over it.
Oh yeah. So, and in 20 years, those kids will have it embedded that we're woke and we want that. We want that. Because I was brought up with that. I want to be a cat. I want to be a, whatever, Furby or whatever they call them. And, or I got to accept the LGBT
weird
people.
Stuff,
and they're all good people.
Having tranny story time. I know. Try to explain that to, I don't know. It's just that's one good thing though with Trump and Pierre. I know that both of them are who they're working for, so I don't agree with them. But that is one good thing that's going to be coming in is more conservative way of thinking, going back a little bit, rein it back a little. Doesn't have to go all the way back to Leave It to Beaver, but I think we can go back quite a few years here, rail it back to more of a, what makes sense.
At least the Brady Bunch. Please back to the Brady Bunch. There we go.
Well, like I said, we don't have to go all the way back to the 50s, but there's something to be said for it, and that's going back to the Anunnaki, going back to the Adam and Eve story, the Garden of Eden. This is kind of how we were. We were Leave It to Beaver over there. We didn't know about all this nasty stuff and all that. We were just innocent. We were just walking around, and that's kind of what's happened to us. We've been programmed and with the television, and now we know too much. Now we've eaten the apple, so to speak, and we all like our Apple products, don't we, with that bite out of it? What do you think that's all about? It's literally the snake giving you the apple here. Again, it's right in our face, but we're not really paying attention to it. And we're loving our TikTok and all this. And this is now TikTok is higher rate of flashing. You see that the young kids have gotten used to with their video games. I missed that. I never did video games. I wasn't into any of that. So for me, I'm not into that. But the kids are, and they want it fast. They want it now. They want to get programmed a lot quicker than we do, because they're able to handle it. And who knows? China. You got to remember, China is giving you this and to your kids. And even my brother said it's addicting. I'm not going on there because of that. Like, no, I don't need that. Who knows the subliminal, whatever they got going. Oh my God, I can only imagine. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
I see you are late. We're just about to sign out here. You'll have to rewind it, as we used to say back in the day, We actually have to press
Time rewind.
and wait, before it round. Yeah, the good old days. Yeah.
It's all
But
good. It's
yeah.
all good. But anyway, yeah, it's just something to think about.
Something
We
to think
can't.
about. I mean, there is going to be a lot of good things, I think, too, with technology. There's good and bad with everything, and that's unfortunately humans. For some reason, we like to take things and do it for bad. Unfortunately,
We can't
most of the time.
rewind that clock, but we can change things because we know better. Before the upcoming generation comes up, and then they don't know any better. So pass down your wisdom. Wisdom is gained by experiences, not reading a book. Wisdom is knowledge that you learn that you could pass down, from your experiences. That's why people get wise, is because it had a lot of experiences to pass down. We've had the experience of knowing that things have changed. There you go. And they need to kind of change back.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's time, instead of watching the TV or whatever, let's go back to story time. When your kids or grandkids are over, don't have the tube on. That this is your opportunity to pass on. And I try to as much as I can. And of course, the kids are like, yeah, okay, all right, grandma. You know what I mean? Like, so there's that too. But then again, the shows here, I mean, YouTube, have shadow banned me hugely this week. I'll be surprised to get any views on this video, to be honest with you. We'll see. But at least I'll have this. Once I'm gone, that's when they're going to be interested in, oh yeah, shit, we should have listened to her when she was here, but now it's too late. It's one of those things, So I'll have our shows.
Hit the thumbs up button, people. Hit the thumbs up.
Yeah.
Make a comment in the bottom section. YouTube algorithms see that and they like that stuff. So thumbs up, make a comment, even if you say,
put it out
hey,
there,
good show, something like that. It really helps out. So there you go.
Yeah, it does. I know we all say it and you guys are tired of hearing it, but it's just the way it is, guys, so yeah, if you want to continue to watch YouTube, you're gonna have to just do that for us, so that we can get our stuff out there, because otherwise, well, it's just not gonna. So that's the way it is. But yeah, I think that's it for this week. We'll start back up next week, I believe. Yes. Next week, we'll do episode 9, which is chapter 5. I know we're getting a little behind here, but it's going to take us a while, I guess. But that's all right. We got lots of time, don't we, Robert?
We do. Hey, and in the middle, we're throwing a few good things and have some guests on, whatever. It's always a good thing. You never know when something cool is going to come up.
Well, I am starting to book guests, actually. I got 3 guests lined up already for the next few months here. So we will be taking breaks with guests and other things if something comes up that I really want to talk about. But I'm definitely going to check out this Substack and see what that's all about, and see if that would be something for me, and maybe even if it's just an outlet to talk about the things that I can't talk about here. I don't know if I have it in me to start something completely new again, because I'm already doing the whole hump day and everything, and that's eventually just going to be over on Facebook. I can't wait to get it off of YouTube, to be honest, especially because of the shadow banning, and it's not doing it justice. I'm not growing here at all. So yeah, so there's that. So so what do you got coming up this week then?
Tuesday night, Native American Myths and Legends. Hopefully I don't miss this one. We missed one the other week. I was just too much working, and I didn't have it in me. I had to take a little bit of break last week. Didn't even do the Saturday show, but I'll be back. Everything looks good. Weather's good. I'm getting a little more rest this week, so I'm all pumped up for that. So join me there, David Null, for a good story and some more review of that book.
Absolutely. Yeah, his links are down in the description. He's got 3 different channels you can subscribe there. And you never know when there's content on either one of those. And yeah, no, it's important to take the rest. You know, that's the thing. Like, you know, if you're that busy, I know you're working overtime and everything else last week. So, you know, you do definitely need to rest. And, you know, we don't get paid doing these shows. So, you know, if you want to take a break, you take a break when you need it. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not like anybody's going to fire you because you didn't show up for work. You know what I'm saying? So, so yeah, so that's good. Take the rest. That's probably what the cards were telling you to do, anyways. I believe, yeah.
They
so
were.
Speaking
they
of,
keep telling me that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, speaking of, I will be returning on Wednesday with Hump Day. Hopefully, you guys will get notified. I know last one, not many views. So, like I said, it's not really fair to Hump Day with all his shadow banning. I did it on the same day. I posted some other things, and it just got me shadow banned so bad. But anyways, it is up. If you guys missed it, go and check it out. And make sure that you are following me over on the Facebook, because that's where I'm going to be going live with Hump Day in the future here. Real soon. So I should be I'm hoping to go live over there on the 19th of February. So it's coming up another month, I guess, of just YouTube. But yeah, and then I'll be uploading these up to Odysee and Rumble tonight. So if you are watching over there, make sure that you're liking and sharing and commenting over there as well. And you guys as well, comment down below. Let us know what you think of the book. You know, and there's a free PDF down in the description that you guys can read along or read ahead and maybe bring some questions next time. That's always fun. And what is he? Lucky's got a closing mantra here from R. Wayne Steiger. There you go. We'll all prosper from it. So yeah, well, hopefully you guys will prosper something from this information, gain some kind of knowledge, or pique your interest, or something, or at least entertain you for a little bit. So yeah, thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you hit that like button, share this out, and I guess we'll see you in the next one. Bye everybody.